Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Pyro coming at you with another video. If you could leave a like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell as well, that'd be amazing. I'm probably going to do this at the end of the video as well. So before we kick into what this video is about, which is something sensitive, well, in this day and age anyway, for the majority of people on social media, representation. But before I jump into that, this is Xavier Institute for Gifted Youngsters. The reason why this is important is representation. And this is the name of, well, one of the many names that Professor X's school has had in the history of Marvel Comics. And the reason why they're important is because of the mutants, the X-Men. At one point, and mainly in the 1960s during the Big Boom, they represented the Civil War movement, not Civil War, the Civil Rights movement. And you have Magneto as Malcolm X, one of the more aggressive leaders of the Civil Rights movement. And you've got Professor X as representation for Martin Luther King as a more anti-violence, pacifist representation. Well, no, he's one of the civil rights leaders. And what I find really interesting with that is that that goes deeper than just, oh, we've got these representations. You've got the mutants that represent not only at the time black people going through a lot of hardship, they also later on, and even at the time, represent so much more in the terms of gay, bi, trans, whatever, and mental health as well, especially in this day and age now, going through that. You've got the mutants in continuity. They were chased through the streets with pitchforks and torches and chastised by their community, ostracized by their community, and having to find their own place to live, being told to go back where they came from and they're not right, blah, 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 they're a mistake, all these types of things. And I think that they're a representation of all these things. They're relatable because you can see something different. And what I thought was really cool in the X-Men 2 movie, X2, is that Bobby Drake, Iceman, goes home. His parents find out he's a mutant. And one of the first things his mom says is, have you tried not being a mutant? Which I found was a very overt thing to say in relation to, like, during the 1980s and 1990s, the big gay boom. A lot of people, friends, family, all that kind of stuff were saying, have you tried not being gay? And for X-Men 2, I think that was a great representation, keeping in touch with what they represent, how you can relate to them. How I'm going to kick this off now, after that intro into this and what I feel represents the overarching story for this, is Ghost in the Shell. Now, I thought about doing a video about this when they announced Ghost in the Shell and the actress that would be playing the Major. And that's Scarlett Johansson. I love Scarlett Johansson. She's a major actress, great as Black Widow. Now, my issue with this was, one, why is she not Asian? Why is she not an oriental character? But I let that slide. You can get actress, you can do action, cool. Now, there's going to be spoilers here, but it doesn't matter because the movie's trash. I love Ghost in the Shell, the anime, the movie, cool. That's besides the point. You've got Scarlett Johansson's character, whose name in this is always the Major, the same as the source material, and that's important to me. Cool. However, in the movie, the live-action movie, she is known, I believe you find out her name is Miriam Killian or Morgan Killian or something like that, the initials of MK. Now, in the anime, the source material, her name is the Major, as I've said. She's also known as Major Kusanagi, MK, but her name is Motoko Kusanagi. Cool. Now, my issue with this now then turns into, you've got Motoko Kusanagi in the live-action movie. She is a little Japanese girl. What they've done is, I think, is a perfect representation of whitewashing something. Motoko Kusanagi in the movie, the live-action one, is a little Japanese girl. They've put her memories, her brain, or however it worked out, into this white female. Now, to me, that literally is representation exactly to a T of whitewashing something. We've got this little ethnic thing over here, make it white. Now, the movie itself is trash. It doesn't even touch on what I think relates to this overall video as well, of what makes you human, what represents you as a human. And I think the movie doesn't even do that. It becomes, oh, what am I, to who am I? And yes, there's a thin line. But with the original Ghost in the Shell, it touches on that so heavily, it's amazing. Whereas in this movie, it changes from, you know what, I wonder what makes you a human, to, oh, who am I? I'm not this person that I am, I'm someone else. If it was a different movie, it'd be okay. Adaptation is cool, but when you say something is something, keep the core theme in. It changes the core theme. But with that, we've got Doctor Strange. You've got the ancient one who was an old Chinese dude. Cool, that's fine, source material. The movie then changed this from an old Chinese dude to an old white lady. Celtic, don't get me wrong, so there is magic based there. That was one of the reasons that Marvel gave. Why they made her a Celtic person. The reason why they changed it from an old Chinese dude was to say it's insensitive to our Asian audience or Oriental viewership. Can you say Oriental these days? I think something came out that said you can. Anyway, to me, I get the reasoning, that makes sense. However, they've then taken a job away from an Asian person to represent visually an Asian person and gave it to an old white lady. Love Tilda Swinton, but in the context of this movie, right now, gave it to an old white lady. What would be worse, seeing someone that looks like you, or having it taken away? Because it's not like they've been painted in a bad light or anything of that matter. He's the one teaching, the one that's going to save the world. It might be, oh, another white guy saving the world again using Asian stuff, but he's white. Again, culture, blah, 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 put onto a white person. But beyond that, I love the movie, and it's a great one. That's where these movies are different, and I think what Ghost in the Shell did was insensitive, whereas what Marvel did with Doctor Strange, it was insensitive, but for a different reason. Because they took a job away from someone, but they explained why. Whereas, as far as I know, Ghost in the Shell was just like, we need a bankable actress for this, rather than getting someone Asian. Mulan has someone Asian, and that's really crazy. I love that. But with that, in the terms of changing people's color to suit something, you've got Henry Cavill leaving Superman, and the rumor is that Warner Bros. Wants Michael B. Jordan. I don't want that. Don't get me wrong, I love Michael B. Jordan, but for the most part, there's no precedence for a black Superman, except for, I think it's Earth 53, where you've got a black Superman. He's bald, he's the president, which I think was before Obama had become president. That's cool. On Earth 53, everyone's pretty much become gender swapped, except for Batman. But anyway, so if they say this is an Elseworld story, cool, that's amazing. I can get on board with that. But that leads me to another part where Michelle Rodriguez actually got in trouble for saying, basically, if you want to have these characters, Hispanic, Mexican, black, white, whatever, create it yourself. And that's hugely important. If you do want these characters, create them, or use the source material, mainly speaking about comics now, use the source material that you've got to incorporate black characters, Puerto Rican characters, Mexican characters, Japanese characters, because you've got it. Just use them. There's no harm in it. And if you do need to create a new character, don't gender swap or color swap a character. Don't just make Superman black because we need to have someone black. Don't just make someone white because you need to have someone white, because you don't. There's a lot of them in movies everywhere, regardless of what it is. Taking, say, Captain America. Two people have mainly taken on the mantle. Bucky Barnes, Sam Wilson. Even with what I feel representation means, which is relatability, this month, or rather this year, one big one, Black Panther. And don't get me wrong, I've made a video about the fact is we've had many black superheroes and main characters as black superheroes, such as Blade and Spawn. We've got it. We know that they exist. Even movies like Hancock, they exist. It's not about if it's happened before, something like that. It's about now, in this day and age, representation is key. Can you relate visually? Yes, you can. Cool. Can you relate on a mental level? Because there's two levels to representation. The visual ones, which is in this case for myself as a black male, Black Panther, that happened this year. But then you've got TV shows like Atypical, which touches on things that you can't always see. For the sake of this, in this case, you actually can't see it because he is a high-functioning person. So he's got the certain tics and so on, things like that. But it's a mental health that you can't see. you can see other things like disability and so on, which a great representation would be Batgirl or Oracle, where she is in a wheelchair. That's a great representation that you can visually see and so on. But other things like mental health, you don't. I think representation for that would be amazing. A bit harder to pull off because you can't see it, but also should be easier because you can't see it. Create a great story, amazing, done. I would really love to see more things like that. Maybe it's just me not searching for them or anything like that, but having a great story, and including video games, because you've got games like Mass Effect where it doesn't matter about your color, creed, gender, orientation, because you can be all of these things, but it doesn't impact the overall story. You just happen to be one or three of these things, or all of them, and you still carry on throughout the story. That's what we need more of in across all mediums. Don't get me wrong, I know your core fan bases are probably white males between the ages of what, 15 to 35, 40 across movies and video games. But there's a wider world out there, and you need to have the representation for them. I was watching a movie recently called All the Boys. All the Boys I've loved. I was watching it with my girlfriend, and it's a great movie. Great movie. By the way, Atypical is on Netflix, and so is this movie. And it was amazing, one, because the story is really cool. But what's also amazing is that it was a female lead that was of Asian descent, and it didn't matter. She was white female. Her dad was white, and her mom was Filipino, I think, or something. I don't know. And it didn't matter. Even the supporting cast, they were from different races or whatever, and it didn't matter about what color they were because it was about the story. Don't get me wrong, you've got other things where the story relates around the color or what happens because of the color, like movies like, say, Django Unchained. The color is very important in that because it's about the story. However, if you take away the color and adjust a couple things, you still get a great movie. But what heightens that movie is because it's set in the South, set during the slave era, and you've got a free slave. Of course that's going to be about the color. It makes sense for it to be about the color. If it makes sense, it's okay. But then you've got movies such as the remake for Magnificent Seven, where Denzel Washington's character is a black male. If I'm correct in my memory, nothing ever said about it. It's just he is a black male. He happens to be a darker shade than most of the other cast. But also the problem that I do have with that is that it's a color swap, because if I remember correctly, the original Magnificent Seven didn't have any black people in the main cast. But again, Magnificent Seven is taken from Seven Samurai, which is a Japanese movie. Hollywood is good at adaptation. Ghost in the Shell, the original anime influenced The Matrix. Inception is taken from a Japanese movie called Paprika. Adaptation's fine, but when you take the name exactly, no. Hollywood has a problem with that. Basically, the core of what I'm saying is, if you want characters, create these characters like Harley Quinn from Batman and Agent Phil Coulson from Iron Man. They're taken from different mediums and then put into the comics. So why not create characters for the comics and put them in the movies, or just put them in the movies and amalgamate it? I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm pretty sure you know what I mean. This has been a bit of a ranty video, but I've enjoyed it. I might do more of these. You know what? Let me know what you think representation means for you. For me, it's about relatability, visually and mentally. If I can't see it, I want to be able to relate in some other way to this character. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of that. What does it mean for you to be represented in any medium, be it comics, anime, manga, movies, TV, anything? Let me know. But yes, like, subscribe, told you I'd come back to it. Comment, hit the notification bell because I do videos weekly. Once, twice, 3 times a lady. I don't think I'm going to do that joke again. Let me know if you think it's funny in the comment section below. Again, I am on Instagram as well. I post a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I've got IGTV as well, where I do a lot of reviews. Again, with behind the scenes stuff, and sometimes the premise for what I put on YouTube. Really cool stuff going on, and get to know me a bit more personally. If you want to, if you don't, I mean, I still post really cool videos, and they're all the same with really great stuff. Really good stuff. Anyway, guys, I still have to sign off, so peace.